Hello everyone, bit of a different video today. It's not a review. I mean, it's a bit of a critique, sure, but not really a review. Just something that's been bothering me for a bit, and then finally I was like, you know what? Making a video about it. And it does have to do with Star Wars. The Force Awakens, more specifically The Last Jedi. And this video does have spoilers for The Last Jedi, in case you haven't seen it. More specifically, the fact that the First Order is not intimidating, menacing, or otherwise powerful in presence. Why? I mean, they should be. They're essentially the next evil galactic empire. But they're not scary. Why? Probably for many reasons, but I'm gonna concentrate on a couple that I feel if they change them, it might be too late to change it now since we're going into episode 9, part 3 of that trilogy. But maybe if they had done it differently leading up to this, the First Order might be a more menacing presence to the audience. And it's essentially the fact that First Order leadership, they just scream all the time. I mean, granted, I project when I do videos, but I'm not screaming. I'm not talking like that! See the difference? I feel like the perception is, well, we're supposed to cower in fear because they had a bigger Death Star. But as Yoda said, size matters not. The audience's perception of the power and presence of the First Order isn't going to come from First Order tech. It's gonna come from how First Order leadership conducts themselves. And First Order leadership, as it stands now, comes across as a couple of emotionally infantile brats. They're emotionally unstable man-children who command the respect of no one. That's not intimidating to us, the audience. And it's the exact opposite of the Empire. And the simplest fix they could have done is just have them not yell so much.
More! That's enough! Traitor! As the last day of the Republic!
The Empire radiates authority to the audience, therefore they radiate a high threat level to the audience. And they do it without raising their voices. Better said, they do it because they don't raise their voices.
You may fire when ready.
Screaming in intense moments of emotional conflict simply sends out the message that you do not have authority, control, or confidence in your ability to handle the situation or solve the problem at hand. Therefore, to the people around you following you, you can't be a good leader. Have you ever seen a YouTube video or a YouTube compilation video of people losing their shit during a debate or any heated situation? They're just screaming, making an ass of themselves, and you just think they look ridiculous, right? Probably, because that's the point of that video. The point of that video is that they do look ridiculous.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
And it's kind of funny. We're amused because we're seeing someone lose complete control of the situation. Now imagine they're the leaders of the First Order in your Star Wars movie. They're the threat.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
Real people doing it in a YouTube video, fictional characters doing it in a movie, either way, we still perceive it as weakness. When you look at the Empire, these guys never yelled. Not that they didn't have passion in their convictions, not that they didn't raise their voices.
Commander, tear this ship apart until you found those plans and bring me the passengers. I want them alive!
But they were just more mature about it. They were adults, acting like adults, running a military and an empire. They didn't scream to make their point. It's not like villains can't raise their voices. It's not like people of authority can't raise their voices. There's a difference between raising your voice and screaming. You look at Bane's speech in The Dark Knight Rises. Starts out pretty calm, but you know something big's coming. The guy's standing on a tank. Then by the end, he has raised his voice significantly.
Do you accept the resignation of all of these liars? Of all the corrupt?
But he's working the crowd. He's getting the crowd worked up. The crowd reacts, so he gets more worked up, and it's this perpetuating cycle of energy. But also that scene came after a legendary representation of a villain establishing his authority in a room.
I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
One of the most intimidating villain moments I can think of, and Bane is all but whispering in the scene. Also, the First Order could probably benefit by not undermining the authority of their officers in front of their subordinates. When this is happening to Hux,
Supremely.
Don't get distracted, I'll go.
in front of people who are supposed to respect his authority enough to take orders from him, you're only harming his image among the troops, so you're going against your best interests. You impugn his authority, then insubordination starts happening, then the machine that is the First Order ceases to run as smoothly as it could. Essentially, Snoke and Kylo Ren, they're just shitty CEOs. At least when Vader disciplined his officers in front of other people, he just killed them. He probably knew. He was like, oh, if I spank these guys in front of other people, they're gonna lose their authority in their eyes. It's gonna be a nightmare, whatever, just kill them. I mean, it's not the smoothest way to go about it, but it does cause less problems among the masses. Actually, there is an Imperial officer that screamed. I want to correct myself. This guy screamed more than all the Imperial officers who raised their voices in the original trilogy combined. Director Krennic. However, gonna break the fourth wall for a second, he was written and created in the current Disney Star Wars world. He was written with a completely different mindset as to what is authority, what illustrates authority. I feel like Tarkin would have Krennic shot after this outburst.
We stand here amidst my achievement, not yours!
I have to assume that because even Vader recognized Tarkin's authority.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
To be clear, Vader can kill Tarkin and everybody else in the room, but he doesn't. This shows that the Empire has rules, it has structure. Structure that people in the Empire respect. Rules denote structure, structure denotes stability. And an Empire with that stability, that's scary. That's something that people should fear. The First Order lacks this entirely. I feel like it's run by a couple of kids with no chaperone. In short, the audience needs to see the First Order as intimidating, as powerful. But the execution we've seen so far doesn't convey that to the audience. Not that people didn't talk shit to Imperial commanders. Leia straight up stepped up to Vader and Tarkin, but they both shut that shit down. Vader had her arrested, Tarkin threatened her home, and then he uses the intimidation tactic of stepping in her space, and he did it without screaming. I mean, you can hear the annoyed, if not intense tone in his voice, but he never screamed, and that's why he's scarier than Hux. Granted, she lied about where the rebel base was, and Tarkin's like, yeah, execute her. If it were Hux, she'd crack a your mama joke, and he'd get all pissy and start yelling again. Maybe, the benefit of the doubt here, maybe they're trying to appeal to modern audiences by having Kylo Ren and Hux come across as a couple of tweeters locked in a Twitter argument where everything's retweets in all caps. The First Order needs leaders, not tweeters. I feel like looking back a few months after The Last Jedi came out, in hindsight, this is one of the reasons they probably shouldn't have killed Snoke. Snoke, though he did yell like a leader of the First Order apparently does, he was the one, he was the best hope at keeping these two in line. So our two main threats among the First Order are Hux,
Supremely and I'll go.
and Kylo Ren. Going forward, I feel like Hux and Kylo Ren need to offset each other. I would say Hux should be the stable leader of Kylo Ren's, like the emotional dark side user, but Hux's image is ruined beyond repair in the eyes of the troops and the audience, so that's not gonna work. Plus, Kylo Ren outranks him, so what's he gonna do? I imagine they'll probably do with Kylo Ren what they did with Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, where in the end of the second chapter of the trilogy, it leaves off with them being an incomplete piece of work. So at the beginning of the third movie, they come in just this master of their craft. Jarring then, would be jarring now, but what else do we got? The alternative is just leaving it as it is. I feel like in episode 9 they could have a scenario, it would be kind of a cool scenario, where you see First Order officers trying to assassinate Kylo Ren because Kylo Ren's just so unstable. I mean, no one would have confidence in that guy. They'd be like, oh, if we want the First Order to survive, he needs to die. So there's good opportunity there for that. I just don't think they're gonna show that. I don't know, it's just something I wanted to talk about for a while. I just wanted to put it into words. Hopefully I put it into words enough to illustrate my point. The Empire comes across as a solid, stable organization. Something to be feared, to cower before. The First Order does not. Funny enough, this wasn't my reaction at the end of The Force Awakens. When I was done watching The Force Awakens, Hux, Snoke, and Kylo Ren I thought showed promise of a good dynamic. Then by the end of The Last Jedi, something was bothering me about the First Order, and this is it. They can make some changes going forward in episode 9, but we'll just see what they do. I'm not gonna hold my breath for it. I feel like in episode 9, the First Order is still gonna come across about as organized as a monkey trying to fuck a football. But we'll see what happens. Alright, so the First Order in Star Wars, how do you view them? Do you prefer the Empire? Do you prefer the First Order? This is gonna be yet another attempt at starting a civil conversation in the comment section, so whatever you think, comment below, let me know. It's a comment section of a Star Wars video, so it should be fun. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you wanna see more, click right here to see more.